Hi guys. Today's video is the start of a 4-part mini-series where I'll be painting all 4 of Khagra's Ravagers, but rather than painting them as per the box art in SlavestoDarkness black armour, I've done one dedicated to each of the 4 Chaos Gods: Nurgle, Slaanesh, Tzeentch and Khorne. In this first video I'm painting up Dour Kragan as a Chaos Warrior of Nurgle. So if you're interested in an easy, grungy, dirty, sickly paint scheme for your Warriors of Chaos, this should be the video for you. I'm starting from a slap-chopped base coat. The model was sprayed black and then dry brushed with Ulthuan Grey and Whitescar. All of the armour pieces are then painted liberally with Plaguebearer Flesh contrast paint. This particular paint really helps sell the decaying, rotten style that this armour needs. Now I pick out the boots and scale-hide cloak of the warrior with Garaghaks Sewer. This will give us a nice dark base to highlight later. Then I apply black Templar contrast paint to the cape and loincloth with a small amount of contrast medium mixed in. Next, I use Snakebite Leather contrast on the first section of his left boot, the helmet plume and weapon handles. The thought of painting the plume any other colour than brown just didn't make sense to me, as it would have made the model look too vibrant. Skeleton Horde contrast paint is then applied to the helmet horns. Then, paint in Leadbelcher on the weapon blades, pommels, hilts and the shield icon and belt buckle. I use Leadbelcher as it's quite a dark metallic colour which is easy to then highlight later. Screaming Bell is then painted on the shield icon, sword hilt and the gilding on the dagger sheath. This helps to break up the metallics so they're not all one same colour. Next is a concentrated wash of Agrax Earthshade on everything except for the black cape and the loincloth. The contrast paint has already given us a lot of the effect that we were already after, so the Agrax only needs to be placed into the deepest recesses, like the gouges in the armour, shield and around all the rivets. This is where we'll be placing some of the rust effect later. Any spillages or slips aren't really a problem for a model like this, as it will just create extra texture and grunge to an already grungy model. all of those recesses are looking much darker, and we've gotten some nice splotchy marks on the armour to help sell some of that rotten effect. Next I apply XV88 over the shoulder spike, focusing on the edges of the spike, leaving the centre a dark brown. I blend this with Morghast Bone to create a dark to light bone colour transition. This is applied upwards to the tip of the spike, and then I go back to XV88 and apply this in the opposite direction. I go back and forth, creating that blend. I continue to repeat this process until I'm happy with the result. While the paint is still wet, I add more Morghast Bone and I push back up the top of the spike. Sticking with Morghast Bone, I start to highlight the helmet horns, picking out the edges and the ribbed sections under the horns. The Morghast Bone was diluted 1:1 with water. Next I take some Doombull Brown to make a bold highlight on the raised leather sections, like the boots and the belt. This was another section of the model that I felt didn't need much precise detail work. I water down the same Doombull Brown, and I start to block out the areas where I want rust to form all over the armour and weapons. The Chaos Warriors of Nurgle are commonly depicted with rotten, rusty and decaying armour, so to have clean weapons and armour wouldn't have made much sense. It's one of the reasons Nurgle can often be a great first faction to get into. With enough greens, browns and washes, they can look great without needing to highlight most of the details. Speaking of decay, we have a visitor from Grandfather Nurgle. I think this was evidence that Nurgle was watching and approved of this paint job, but unfortunately I'm holding out for a different Chaos God. With our little carrier of pestilence wiped out, I continue to build up the rust effect with the Doombull Brown mixed with Firedragon Bright, and I just place this into the middle of those sections that I had previously washed. Now, with pure Firedragon Bright, I dot the very centres of all those rusty sections, focusing on the deep recesses and rivets where I can. If you like this rust effect, let me know in the comments, and let me know if you'll be using it on any of your Warriors of Chaos. At this point, I thought that the rust was actually a little bit too bright, so I wanted to tone it down. I went straight over the rust areas with another layer of Agrax Earthshade. The next step is to do an edge highlight all over the green armour panels. I'm starting with pure Deathguard Green. Now that the first highlight's complete, I've started a second, which is going to be using Deathguard Green mixed with 50-50 with Phalanax Yellow. I've already applied it to the shield and the left hand side of his armour. With the edge highlight complete, the green armour is really standing out. While off camera, I placed a dot of Phalanax Yellow for each eye. Now I need to put a little bit more shine into those weapon edges. For this, I'm using a piece of torn off packing sponge, and I'm applying Runefang Steel all over the large flat metal sections. This will help bring some light metallics into the mix, along with blending in some of the rust. Now I apply Scrag Brown over the fleshy sections of the skin cloak, focusing mainly on the hand and the lower edges of the cloak. Next we need to paint Doombull Brown onto the scales of the shoulder cloak. I gave this 2 coats specifically on the larger scales. Then, to finish off, Doombull Brown mixed with Evil Sun's Scarlet, and I apply this to the upper edges of all of those scales on the cloak. Now we're on to the base. This was also just slap chopped with a grey and white. I didn't want these to be too flashy, so I've gone for a very simple 3 paints. Agarros Dunes for all of the sections of dirt, Black Templar for all of the sections of the flat floor, and Doomfire Magenta for the Chaos insignia. And to finish off the base, I painted the rim in Abaddon Black. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and consider subscribing. I've got 3 more of these to come, all with different paint schemes. They're filmed and they're mid-editing. I aim to release 1 per week, so expect the next one to come out on Saturday the 15th. Lastly, a shout out to John and Margaret, who seem to watch these videos on repeat. Thank you for all your support.